We're back. And so is Microsoft Paint because I truly do enjoy the moments where I just get to crash out with Microsoft Paint. All right. Deadpool and Wolverine is out. People have questions. Easiest way to show you exactly what the hell is going on is to draw that bitch. So, everything begins a long time ago with the first X-Men film that we're going to call X1. And of course, like most things Fox, X1 had a sequel, X2. Then, of course, we had another one known as X3. This was the original trinity of X-Men films. Now, I know what you're saying. Blood Birdley, what about X-Men Origins Wolverine? X-Men Origins Wolverine exists in another universe. And what I mean by that is we're going to put that over here. X-Men Origins Wolverine. That's going to go over here in its own little subcategory. Now, why does X-Men Origins Wolverine go over here and it doesn't go in the original trilogy of films? Well, that is very, very easy. There are certain events that occur in X-Men Origins Wolverine that are not canon to anything else. The Deadpool that we received in that film, not canon to the one that we have in the Deadpool films. The Sabretooth that we received in that film, not canon to the Sabretooth that we received in any of these films. Even the most recent movie X-Men Deadpool and Wolverine, we had the original Sabretooth from the original X-Men films in this movie. So X-Men Origins Wolverine, I'm extremely sorry. I know there are some people out there who love it. There's some people out there who enjoy Taylor Kitsch's performance as Gambit in that film. I was not one of them, but that film does not pass the smell test, and as a result, does not go into the exact same category as these X-Men films here. Now, there is a bridge, and that bridge is known as Days of Future Past. Days of Future Past exists in its own bracket. Now, while yes, Days of Future Past is the future events following X-Men 3, where we see the characters from that series go on into Days of Future Past to essentially reset the timeline. I like to take Days of Future Past out of the bracket because even in the comic books, Days of Future Past itself is its own branch universe and it's its own Nexus event, which leads to the creation of that universe and also allows for the time travel of Bishop and Cable and can't remember the other fucking dude's name, but allows the time travel of those characters from the Days of Future Past timeline back into the X-Men timeline essentially. But after the events of Days of Future Past gives birth to a new set of X-Men films, which is well, it's not really first class, but at the exact same time, it is first class because the first class universe is completely separate from the original X-Men universe. So we're just gonna say first class, Days of Future Past itself. What the hell came after Days of Future Past? That was the one with Apocalypse, right? Apocalypse, and then Dark Phoenix. All of these exist inside their own little temporal bubble. But we still have another X-Men movie to put on here, basically, which is Logan. Logan is the other movie that comes from this. Even though some people want to throw Days of Future Past into where Logan essentially exists in, I don't see Logan existing in this bracket. I have never put Logan as him existing here. I've always taken it that, and especially the way in which I look at it, is that Logan is a sequel, which is the end of the original X-Men trilogy. So there's another bracket that goes over here, and we will put Logan. When I say that the Fox X-Men films are absolutely confusing, I am not kidding in any way, shape, or fucking form. But Logan I've always seen as a film which is a sequel to the last X-Men film. I feel as though Days of Future Past is one of those things where, yes, it is a Nexus event, but its prevention allows the original X-Men timeline to continue and end in Logan, while its prevention also created a completely splintered timeline, which led to its own universe where the First Class, Days of Future Past, Apocalypse, and Dark Phoenix crew essentially exist. Now, you may be saying to yourself, why all this setup? Because all this setup is needed in order to explain the Deadpool timeline, which is Logan takes place in 2029. Deadpool and Wolverine takes place in, I believe, 2024. Or I may be wrong, it might be 2025. The events, and if I remember correctly, hold on, wait a minute. Because I actually had it saved on my phone. I'm extremely sorry. Hold on. 2028 was the year in which Charles Xavier in 2028 was the year in which Charles Xavier essentially kiboshes and kills the entire X-Men team. The entire X-Men team is dead in 2028. And that is extremely important because we're going to check the Deadpool timeline one more time to make sure it actually is 2024. Deadpool and Wolverine. Yeah, 2024 is when the Deadpool and Wolverine movie essentially takes place. In this movie, we see Deadpool do a little bit of time hopping along with a little bit of multiversal hopping, which is he essentially goes from 2024, where he's essentially kidnapped, and he jumps forward in time to 2029 when Logan essentially occurs. And he digs up Logan's body, finds out he's dead, and has that fantastic fight and intro sequence with the TVA. Then he immediately gets ejected from the TVA because the TVA exists in its own little pocket reality where time doesn't really exist in the TVA reality. It's kind of just its own static thing. So all of these things are both happening at the same time and not happening at the same time. He gets ejected from the TVA and he gets sent straight down to the void. The void is also a place where time really doesn't exist, where it's not really, it's its own entity, just like the TVA. Time is not progressing outside of the void. You could kind of say like time is a little bit static. So you can basically go into the void, be in the void for 100 years, leave the void, and return right back to essentially where you were before. When Deadpool leaves the void, he returns back to his reality in the year 2024, which means that is the reason why you see Colossus alive. It's the reason why you see Yukio alive. It's the reason why you see Negasonic Teenage Warhead alive. All of these characters are still alive in this verse in 2024. It is only in 2028, in 4 more years, that Charles Xavier has his seizures and he essentially kills everyone in the X Mansion. Now, here is the interesting thing. Um, Deadpool and Wolverine establishes that Logan doesn't happen, but it still happens. What do I mean by that? So, fuck. Do I need a new board? I need a new board. Screw it. We'll do it live. So, imagine this is Deadpool's timeline. Um, if this was the original timeline that everything exists on to Logan, so like I said, Logan happens in 2029. You could say that in 2024, which is about right here, Deadpool and Wolverine occurs. and creates a brand new forked timeline that doesn't lead to his universe essentially collapsing. So if they wanted to revisit the Deadpool and no, if they wanted to revisit the Logan timeline in 2029, they can. All the events from Logan still occur. That is still canon 100%. However, by the end of Deadpool and Wolverine, there is now a new timeline where the events of Logan probably won't occur. And the reason why I say that they probably won't occur is because you have two Logans essentially running around in this universe. You have an X-23 running around in this universe before she is ever essentially created, or maybe not. Maybe X-23 was already being created because I think she's like 12. So if we're taking 2029 minus 12 will probably be 7. Okay, so 2017 would probably be when they started working on X-23 in a secret lab somewhere. So there is definitely a younger X-23 somewhere in this timeline, just like about doing who God knows what. But at the end of Deadpool and Wolverine, we are essentially living in a new timeline. This new timeline has, like I said, two Logans, two X-23s, Blade, Elektra, and Gambit. Will the events of Logan occur? No. I have a feeling that with all of these new players on the board, things have essentially been shifted just a wee bit, including since Deadpool is really, really close to Colossus and Negasonic Teenage Warhead, I have a feeling that he essentially figured out, or he knows what led to the death of Logan in regards to Professor X, and he's warned Cyclops and Negasonic Teenage Warhead, or even told his best Logan about what happens, and then that Logan probably interacts with the X-Mansion, and things basically change up. Essentially, this new universe is not going to end up like Logan 2029. Xander Rice is not going to be able to get away with the shit that he probably thinks he's going to be able to get away with in this new timeline. So Deadpool's essentially safe. He's essentially saved himself and hilariously saved all of the mutants for the coming Secret Wars, where they all get scrunched into one universe. Then everything detonates and creates a brand new universe altogether. I can't wait to just wipe all this shit from existence. Fox did not do a good job at all in creating a cohesive universe that made sense. They were basically doing the Disney and the WB shit of just throwing things at the wall and hoping that they make a fuck ton of money, which is hilarious when you honestly think about it, because X-Men Origins Wolverine was also supposed to have, I think, two companion pieces. One was supposed to be X-Men Origins Magneto, and then the other one was supposed to be X-Men Origins Gambit. But this one was the one with Taylor Kitsch's Gambit, not the Channing Tatum Gambit movie, which does not exist in this timeline in any way, shape, or form, and was just over here by itself. Is it all confusing? Abso-fucking-lutely. Oh boy, if it's not the most confusing thing on the face of the planet, the universe that Fox essentially created for us. But yeah, no, all this stuff basically getting left behind. Um, for some people that are complaining that Deadpool and Wolverine essentially erased Logan, it didn't. Logan still happens, it just happens on its own branch of the timeline. Deadpool just basically went back in time and was able to save his friends from his timeline essentially collapsing, allowing both Logan in 2029 to exist and also Deadpool and all his friends to exist on a brand new timeline with all of the new super friends that he essentially brought with him from the void. I really wonder if, oh no, never mind, Pyro died. Cassandra Nova snapped his neck as soon as he came out of the portal. I was about to be like, I wonder if Pyro survived. Then I remembered that he literally got in like 3 seconds. But yeah, no, I'm hoping that clears it up. It doesn't. Like I said, the Fox timeline shit for the X-Men films is absolutely fucking atrocious in every way, shape, and form, and it will probably not get better at any point in time.